Me, as Subham said, currently I'm working as an architect in Asia, and I'm having around 7 years in experience in OutSystem, and I love to help community. So user group is one of the platform. So we were conducting many user group session, and happy to be here and share my mobile development exam experience. So previously I have conducted some session related to the mobile development about the sync patterns. So but this session is mainly we are going to focus what are the key areas, what are the points we need to remember to clear the mobile exam. And it's like a recap, right? Like maybe revision, right? So if you already prepared for the mobile exam, then it will help you a lot. If you are not prepared, then also fine. This session will give the path, right? Like how you can, what are the things you have to learn, and what are the topics is needed mainly to clear the exam. And also I will provide some links. So exam is just not for the certificate, right? So we should learn something out of it, so that is the important thing. So I will tell my suggestion also, like how you can learn, how you can build the application for the real time, right? So not only so the session motto is how you will become a mobile developer. Okay, not only clearing the exam. So what are the things you have to be remember while creating a mobile application? So those things also I'm planning to cover. Okay, and so this is the agenda. So first, steps to remember. So it's common for all the exam. And second, the topics and resources for the exam. And third, important points or topics. Okay, and the tips from my end. Okay, so first steps. Okay, steps to remember. So it is according to me, it is really needed for all the exam. So first, better you schedule your exam at least 2 week early based on the complexity of the exam. If it's a specialized exam, then definitely the syllabus will be less compared to our for example reactive development, right? Platform DevOps. Compared to that, if it's a specialized exam, then the syllabus will be less. In that case, you can schedule your exam before 2 weeks, and every day you can spend some time to study about it. Not only studying, right? So whenever you study something, same thing you can just open in Service Studio and see what is happening exactly, so that it is not it is no need to remember everything, no need to memorize. So when we are seeing the things, right, so then automatically our brain will register all the things, and it will be easy for you in future also whenever you are implementing those areas in your development, right? So better whenever you study for any exam, you are learning about something, open the Service Studio or Service Center or Lifetime based upon the topic, and just to see what is there, just to play around with that. So it will be easy for you to remember the thing. So in the exam, even if they ask the question in different words, and like tricky thing and some scenario based question, you can easily answer it. That is one of the thing. And join the exam before 50 minutes, because they will do the circumference check, and they will do some multiple checks. Really, it will take more than 50 minutes, but better you join the exam before 50 minutes, because while launching that app also, many developers may face a problem. I also faced many problems. So one of the thing is, you have to stop the antivirus and Windows firewall before the exam, otherwise it will automatically block the protractor application. Okay, so please stop the antivirus, Windows firewall, close all the opening apps. So go to the taskbar tray, whatever application is there, just close it before launching the exam. And so also clear your temp file, just to, one time you restart everything, right? And what else, keep what to say, keep enough space in the C colon, okay, to the app to run. And always download, even so the protractor application, right? Maybe before 1 month I took exam, and currently I'm going to take an exam. Instead of using the old application, better to install again and use it. And always do a system check before the exam, maybe before 1 week only. Keep the laptop ready and do the system check in the propractor portal, and make sure everything's working fine, like your camera and microphone and everything. And the fourth point is keep your government issued ID card ready. Okay, so if you are from India, keep your Aadhaar card ready. If you are from outside of the India, keep any government issued card or passport with you. Okay, that is an original ID card. Okay, so they will verify that. And my suggestion from based on my experience, even though if you are preparing for exam for 1 month, right, so it is better to set for 2 or 3 hours just for revisions. Okay, so the last the next point, right, so that is my way of doing it. Whenever I study something, right, I will, even if it is from the documentation, I will just print it, save as the PDF. I will create a folders based on the topics, and I will save as a PDF, and I will open the topic in the PDF and use the highlighter, and I will highlight the important points. So because of that, while revisioning, right, it's very easy. I will just to go through the points which are highlighted, then it will be very easy to recall whatever I studied. So you can also try that. So you can also download the lesson materials, right, from the video, or you can just open the documentation, print everything, and then highlighting the things, so that will also help. And this is one of the trick I am doing. So I use ChatGPT to provide some sample question. Okay. So for example, I'm studying about timers, for example, right? So the top you already saved the PDF, right? So what I used to do is I will just upload to ChatGPT and I will ask, give me some 50 MCQ questions, like based on the topic, right? Like topic length, I will ask ChatGPT provide more MCQ question with answers. Okay, that is also one way of revisioning the things, right? So ChatGPT will give some of the example questions, so you can just go through that, and you can keep all those questions handy, maybe in some document file. Even you can ask ChatGPT, so after studying, right, in that thread, now give all the question whatever you have provided in a single document, then it will provide, right? So you can just go through that MCQ question. That will also help you to revise the things. And last but not least, read the questions carefully before answering, because it's very important. Sometimes, by just seeing the option, we may get confused because of the word, right? So sometimes they will say, select the incorrect. Okay, but when you see the first option, it looks like correct, then you will just select that option. But they are asking, select the option which is incorrect. So that kind of things will be there in the what to say, tricky things will be there in the question. So you have to read the question very carefully and option carefully. And one of the tip is, if you are little bit confused, don't attempt that question. So for example, I'm having 20 question, right? So if the question is very lengthy, and if the question, whenever you are reading, you are having some doubt, just flag that question and maybe answer it later on. Okay, that is also, so whatever for sure, right, so you attend that first, so it will also give the confidence, because you have to get 70 percentage to clear the exam, right? So based on the number of questions, you will also get the confidence. Okay, definitely I will clear this exam. After that, you go to the tough one or lengthy one. Okay, this is also one of the points. Okay, and this is the topic which will come under the mobile development specialist exam. So first, data synchronization. So they will ask the question in the patterns. The 5 patterns are there, right? That one. And what offline. So when you are creating a local storage, what are the best practices you have to follow, and what are the options our system is giving? Like for example, scrolling, right? Infinite scrolling and things like that. And how you will fetch the data from local storage, and what are the actions are available. Actions are by default coming from our system. And mobile plugins, right? So native mobile plugins, how to use in our system. If you want to use integrate any code of plugins, what is the way how to do it. And infrared scrollings and the 3 system events, and how to debug the mobile app. Okay, it's possible to debug the mobile app, and what is the way. And while generating the native app, what are the steps will come. So these are the things they will ask the question. So now I will tell the important topics, important points to remember. Okay. So, and it's a very easy exam. If you prepare very well, then even within 50 minutes you can just to close the exam. Only thing is, the check will take time. The prometric people will take more time, but the exam you can just finish in 50 minutes if you are very clear about all the topics. But yeah, their out system is giving 1 hour for the exam, and 14, so 20 question will be asked, and you have to answer 14 question correctly to clear the exam. Okay, and it's a MCQ, so it will be very easy, and it's a MCQ, right? It's a bit confusing also because of the option you may get confused. Okay, so now this is the topic, so it is available in the material also. Whenever you schedule for the exam, right? Please download the study material. Let's download the exam materials. There you will get the sample exam as well as the topics. So don't go with only the learning path. Okay, my suggestion is go with the documentation, because according to me, more than a, yeah, training also is very useful. I'm not denying that, but when you read documentation, right, you will get more idea, more theory will be covered in the documentation. So you will not miss any points, so definitely you can score more marks in the exam. Okay, now important points. So first of all, right, so before starting the things, so out system mobile app. So out system, just a introduction. So I'm not going to go in detail. So mobile app, right? So when we will use the mobile app, whenever the performance should be very fast, that time only we will use the mobile app, and maybe the user wants to access the application while traveling, while maybe they want to do some operation in the field, then we will go for the mobile app, right? The main thing is the performance should be good, and it should be secured also, and it should support both the devices, right? Maybe based on, maybe you want to support Android, but outsys is giving the hybrid application, so it will work well in the same code base. You can distribute as the iOS app as well as Android app, and even you can distribute as a PWA. Okay, and it is, yeah, you can easily scale with because of out system, and we can effortlessly deploy because of out system things. So I'm not going to go in detail. And progressive web app, we all know, so because of the modern browser API, now progressive web app is possible. Even we can achieve the little bit native feature like camera, and those things are coming now part of the progressive web app. You can do that, and even you can do the post push notification. And progressive web app, when you distribute the app as a progressive web app, so it is like, it will run in the browser only, but you will get that mobile app kind of icon. So when you click on it, it will open like the mobile app, but background the browser only running, and the DB will be in the SQL index DB. Okay, so it will use the browser SQL index DB. Okay, and how you can create a PWA in our system mobile app. So maybe from this you can get some question. So once you develop the mobile application, it is just a click, just a checkbox. In the right side you will get this option, progressive web app distribute as PWA. So when you click on it, then the app is ready for PWA. You can just launch the application in the browser, and you can use it. Okay, and yes, now the important thing, local storage ability. So I am just listing down the points are necessary for the exam, important points. So first point is, so you may get confusion, right? So what about static entity? We all know we can create a local storage entity for a server entity by selecting the necessary attribute, or right. So we can create an entity, but what about static entity? Whether it is available, whether it is accessible in the offline. Actually, if you use entities dot, that static entity name dot, something like that, that format, right, that is available in offline. But if you want to join both the, for example, I'm having a foreign key in a normal entity, for that I have created a local storage. So in that case, so you have to create a local entity for static entity also, and it will no more as, it will now no more act as a static entity. Okay, you have to feed the data, you have to create a sync logic, and maybe the read only pattern, you have to push the data to the static entity, then you can just join it and do whatever you want. Okay, you can create a local entity for static entity, but you should call the sync to sync the data in the local entity. So this is one of the point. The second point is, whenever you are creating the local storage, right, always create a separate. So if it is a separate application, for example, I am having HR app and customer app, better to create a mobile local storage for each application separately. It is not only for exam, it is important when you are doing the mobile development for the real time projects as well. And the third point is, each application has, okay, so because the each application has different use case, right, so better you have to create a entity in a separate application. And whenever you are creating a local storage entity, right, for example, I'm having employee entity, it is having 5 attributes. So we should not just copy. Okay, whenever I create a local storage, it is not necessary to keep all the 5 attributes, right? Maybe in the mobile you just want to read the data. Okay, maybe I just want to see the employee name in the list, then it is just you have to seeing the id and name, that is enough, right? No need to copy all the data. So remember that thing. So it's not whenever it's, yeah, OutSystem is giving option to create a local storage for a server entity, but please remember while you are creating a local storage entity, and imagine, right, so you are saving the employee picture, right, but you are not going to display the picture in the mobile application, then no need to create a local storage for it, right? So why it is needed is to avoid the, to increase the performance, and also to avoid the unnecessary singing of the data, right? No need to, because local storage is what to say, very light. We should create lightweight storage. We should not dump all the data, then the storage will become full very fast, so the app will be crashed, so many errors will occur. So always keep very light data in the mobile device, and denormalize the local storage. So yeah, usually we will normalize the entity, right? But if you are going for a local storage, it is better to join two entity to the denormalize and keep only one entity. Okay, because the same purpose to reduce the storage, right? Because the app or mobile browser or mobile can have very limited storage, so you have to denormalize it. And yeah, denormalizing means like group relevant information together, and define only one attribute that are actually used. And as I said before, don't store large volume of the data locally. For example, image, right? So better, it's not a, what to say, mostly we will avoid to save the files in the local storage in the mobile app development. Even if you are showing, we will save it in a internal storage, not in the app data. And follow the hard catch principle. Means whenever you are syncing the data, right, whenever you are syncing the data, for example, I want to see only 1 month data in the mobile app, so seeing only that 1 month data in the local storage. No need before 2 year what happened. So that thing I don't want to see in the mobile app, right? So even if you take the Gmail app, it will sing only the 250 emails. Okay. So after that, if you scroll, then only it will try to access. If you are online, it will try to access the server and fetch the other remaining 250 emails. So that is the best practice. Always keep the important, like the latest information in your mobile device. Okay, and what are the best practices we have to remember? So from here you may get some scenario based question, like for example, I am creating a mobile application for for a employee directory, right? So in that case, which entity I can go for? Yes, definitely you have to go for server entity, and you can create a local storage for it, but it is advisable to keep only the important information, necessary information only in the local storage, right? So like that, some scenario based question they may ask from this these points. And when accessing the local storage, you have to follow the best practices. For example, you should avoid joins and most complex SQL and all. If you are doing some complex logic and or business logic, better to keep it in the synchronization process. And after the sync, whatever data it will give, right, that one only you can push to the mobile storage. No need, you should not keep more business logic in the local storage. And we should control the number of rows fetched, as I already told, right? So, and also, even if it is a local storage, if you are fetching more records, it can create a problem. Sorry, it will create a problem. Okay, so we should fetch only the less number of records, even if it's a local storage, right? For example, 2000 records I'm fetching in the screen, that is not a good practice. So maybe you can fetch only 10 records. Okay, because it's a mobile device, right? Only 10 data only. For example, I'm saying 10 records only. The user will see in the user can see in their device, and when they scroll further, maybe they can see the other 20 records. So that's why out system is by default is giving on scroll event. Okay, so you can use that on scroll event. So that will I will show it in the service studio also, so you will understand more. So always fetch a very less number of rows, use the on scroll event more, and remove unnecessary starting. And if in the server side, keep the SQL very simple and clean, right? So these are the best practices. And always sync the data asynchronous. If it is independent data, you can use a trigger offline data sync action and sync the data asynchronous, like parallelly you can call it. So just as JavaScript, it will execute parallelly. So for example, I'm having 10 entities, all are independent, maybe it's a master data, then I can sync all the 10 data, all the entities sync action. I can call it use the trigger offline data sync. So imagine it is taking 10 seconds to sync all the 10 master data entity. If I call everything parallelly, then maybe it can complete in 1 or 2 seconds, right? So always we need to fetch use asynchronous method, because performance is very important for the mobile app. And benefits, right? So and maybe a question may come like, mobile app, right? So maybe they will give some option. So when you should go for the mobile app, maybe they will give some, option. Maybe one of the option will be when the performance is very important, or whenever the user wants to use the data in the field, right? That time they can go for mobile app. So you have to remember this point. Performance is very much important for the mobile app. Okay, and smooth navigation between screen. So these things are important. And if you want offline, then definitely you have to go for mobile app only, right? So these are the benefits if you follow all these things. Now, on scroll ending, right? So I will show it in the service studio also, then you will get a clear idea. Maybe the question will come like, maybe they will show this kind of image, and they will ask you to verify the logic in short, right? So maybe the if condition is properly placed, you can check that. Maybe the false is ending or true is ending. Maybe that, from that some, some problem will be there in the image. And always we have to max record, right? So max records plus increment records. Okay, maybe I will show it in the service studio and explain it. I will share my screen again, just a second. Just a minute. Open the service studio. Okay, I will share the entire. Okay, so this is the on scroll ending. I told you, right? So imagine I am having one list screen, okay, and I am just showing the company information. So if you see here, first I am fetching only less number of records, that is 20. So max record I set as 20. So whenever the screen load, okay, it is at that start, I will fetch only the 20 records. And whenever they scroll, right, so automatically out system will call this action. There is a event called on scroll ending. Okay, when they reach the end of this viewport, then this will be triggered. So in that action, what we should do is maybe, so the device can accommodate 20 records, right? So based on your chord length, you can even reduce it. For example, my chord is very big. Whenever any mobile screen, they can just see two data or five data. So based upon that, you can set the max record and increment record. right? So I'm scrolling it. So some while scrolling again I need to fetch the 20 records. For example, first to 1 to 20 I'm showing. Now I want to show 21 to 40, right? Then I have to increment it. So initial max record is 20. So now we have to fetch 40 records, right? So 20 plus increment record, you can set the default value. Here it is 20. So 20 plus 20 40. Then you will assign as a max record and refresh it. So in the aggregate we are already having a max record, right? So in this step the max record will become 40. So when you refresh it, then 40 records will be fetched. Okay. And always check the if condition. So the true condition to should go downwards. Like if it is false, then only it will end. Okay. So maybe they will trick in this part. And always we need to increment the max record plus increment records. This assignment also, please remember. So from that maybe they may ask some questions. Okay. Now going to the slide again. Okay. And offline. So from offline saying, many questions will be you may get, especially on these three actions, and there are some system events and things like that. I will tell you in detail. So first of all, right, maybe I will show it in the service studio. Then you will remember very clearly. So whenever you create a mobile app, right? So what will happen is OutSystem will automatically provide some of the things. Okay. So what it will provide? So it will provide some three client. So client action, right? So it will give three client action. So this one I have created. So client action, offline data sync, of configuration, and trigger offline data sync. Okay. Now let's see what is the offline data. So if you see this, everything is clearly mentioned. You can just go through this command. Okay. So you can set sync on login, sync on resume. There are 5 parameters you can set. Okay. Sync on online means, so it is saying, right? So if you set this one as a true, then it will trigger the date when the device becomes online. For example, you are in offline and you are just switching on the internet, and your app is in you are opening the app. Then it will see start the sync means which action it will call, right? So you may get answer. Starting the sync means what is happening exactly. So whenever this one, if you set as true, then whenever you become online, it will trigger it called this action. This is the main action whenever our system says this like this, right? So this action only it is going to, okay, offline data sync. So here only you will place all your sync logic. So currently I'm having only the company entities in it. If you are having more entity, right, and you can maybe might keep a switch condition and keep entity, for example me customer. So each, so sync unit, right? So you can call separately. Okay. So for example, first whenever I want to, I am loading the application, I have to sing only the command, right? If you place everything here without a switch condition, then it will try to execute. But if you place a switch condition, you can tell, okay, see, I am my focus only. So using this input parameter, if you pass the sync unit as company, right, so it will then sync with the companies. Okay. So this is what use of sync. May ask some question. Okay. Sync unit, what it will do, it will tell you, it will tell which action, which entity needs to be or which unit going to sync. Okay. We can set using this, it will call the offline. Okay. And sync on resume means, okay, so you are in the app, you are using the mobile app. Okay. For example, in this mobile application, I've switched to WhatsApp. This particular app is grown, right? Now, after checking that message, I am opening this application. Okay, that is the called resume. So the app is coming from background to foreground. Okay, so it is in the background. Now you are opening again. So that time, if you said true, then it will call the offline data sync action. Okay, so maybe some scenario comes. So see, this is my requirement. Whenever the app comes to foreground, I want to sync the mobile data, right? Or whenever I am coming to online, or whenever I'm logging in. So that time the app should start the sync. What I can do, then it is very easy. You have to set that. Maybe they will ask some kind of scenario question like this, and if any error occur, right? How many times you can some error, whether you want to retry, and what is the seconds you want to retry, right? In between, how much seconds you want to keep. So these are the things you can configure it. Okay. Now, so as I said, this is the important action. Here only you are going to sync logic. Okay, and maybe you will use a sync unit to put the entities, for example, master data, any HR, and maybe customer, like that. Based on the business unit, also you can keep switch condition based on the sync unit. You can call different sync action. Not only one sync action, maybe five sync action. It's up to you. Now, okay, now I am clear. But what is this action? Trigger offline data sync. What is the difference offline data sync and trigger offline data sync? So this action, right, it will call the logic asynchronously. Okay, example, I want to call, sorry,
Yeah,
Subham, are
Mary,
you
I think you are having some network issue. Little bit. Your voice is clear, I guess, but your video is little bit blurry. So,
okay? Just give me a minute. Give me a minute.
uh
Okay, stop the video. Now is it better?
Yeah, yeah, your
Maybe I will
voice
continue the.
was clear. Yes, yes.
Okay, okay. So, whenever we are calling this one, right? So it will trigger the offline data, so called the offline data sync, but it will asynchronously. It is mentioned here. Okay, you can invoke offline data sync asynchronously. So here also you can pass the sync unit. So the things will be synced asynchronously. So this is my favorite action. So whenever I'm working on the real application, maybe I want to sync the data very fast. There are 100 entities, for example, right? So and I know entities are independent. Then I will use this action, and I will fire everything, all the sync action asynchronously using this one. Okay. So now let's go to the slide again. Okay, one more thing. Sorry. Now we saw the client action, right? So what is coming in the UI flow? Okay, we will see that. So whenever we create a mobile app, right? So if you go to the widgetry, that layout itself will have some system action. Okay, some events will be there. You can see here, right? On pull to on sync complete, on sync error, on sync started. So what it's on sync start? We will go from the end on sync start. So you can see that from the description also. Whenever the sync is starting, right? Then this event will be triggered. For example, you can see here. I told when a background offline data sync start. To start a synchronization, use the trigger offline data sync option or configure it. So whenever background offline start, then it will this event will be start. With this event will be good. You can use this event to show the message or to load to show the loader. Maybe you can show the icon. when the app start. And whenever any the sync is complete, you can call this one layout on sync complete. Okay, so whenever we call this, it will set the again. Okay, so a sync is completed, right? So we can stop the loader. Okay, for example, whenever the sync start, we can set as true, so the loader will start, and whenever the sync complete, we can set that loader as false, then the will vanish. Okay, so and whenever any error occur on the sync, right, then this event will be triggered layout on sync error. So what it will do is it will, so if I want to indicate the user some error occurred in the sync, you want maybe you can retry it. Okay, try the sync, so then you can call this layout error. Okay, so these are the events also we waited from a layout. So it's in the layout. So on all the pages, in all the pages, you will get the event and you can use it. Okay. Now I will go to the slide again. Okay. So whenever we trigger the sync, right? So this is the flow which is happening whenever we start the event. The trigger sync action will be triggered. Maybe if it is a trigger offline data sync, then it will be go asynchronously, and it will sync the data, and then the event will be triggered like sync end. Right? We just now saw that will be triggered, and it will inform the client side. Okay, so as we saw already, so these are the event we are having: answering start, answering complete, and answering error. So these are the events will be triggered. Okay, and it is placed inside the layout. Okay, and the client action we already saw that. And what other things are inside the offline data sync configuration also we already saw. So sync on online, sync on login, sync on resume. So everything is mentioned in detail. So and other two client action, right? The offline data sync. So offline data sync, we saw, right? It's a main action here. Only the logic will be there for syncing, right? And trigger offline data sync action. This action will create a, it will trigger the offline data sync asynchronously. Okay, and even when you are trying to create a manual sync, right? Whenever you want to sync, and the sync should happen in the background, that time also you can call the trigger offline data sync. And sync unit is also we saw it's an input parameter that can be passed from the business logic to decide the sync action, like to decide which sync action needs to be run, right? Useful for deciding which entity to sync. Instead of calling that action blindly, if we call this, imagine if there are 100 entities, it will sync everything, right? So if we pass the sync unit, it will sync only the specific entity. So that is the use of sync unit. Maybe from this also you may get some question. Okay, and we are having server action for syncing the data. So inside the first maybe I'm not going in detail about the pattern. So but overall what we will do is first we will call the trigger offline data sync, will call the offline data sync. And in the offline data sync, for example, I'm calling sync local companies, right? Maybe I will show it in the service studio quickly, and then Mm, but yeah, there are so many things to cover. Maybe yeah, I will tell very quickly. You will fetch the newly created record, updated record, and deleted record from your local storage. So all these things will happen in the client side, because client side only the local storage is there, right? So once everything is fetched, you will pass this one to the server action, okay, as an input parameter. And inside the server action, you will check the role, the whether the proper role is there. So this is also one of the important security practice. Okay, so you have to check not only the role. Maybe here they are just checking by default the register role will come, but even if you are having a specific use case, only the manager can create, check the role and things like that, then you can implement it. Okay, so after that it will create or update the records, and then it will send the updated record from the server to local. Then the local entity will be clear and updated. So this is the flow. So inside that the server action will come. So that is what they are in the server action offline folder. So based on the entity, you can create multiple servers. Okay, and we are having 5 data sync patterns. So read only optimize, read write loss win, read write conflict resolution, read write one to many. So this, if you want to know more about this pattern, I will send you the link. You can watch that video. So these things will be explained in detail. Okay. And from this, maybe you will get some one scenario question, right? For example, if it is a read only optimized, for example, maybe I will quickly show it in the service studio. So, for example, if it is a read only optimized, right? So they will show the pattern, complete pattern, and they may ask what is missing here. Okay, so imagine, so this is read only optimized. Okay, so the flow is, you like based on the time slot, based on the time it got synced last time, right? Last sync time. With that only you will sync the data. So the idea is, for example, today 10 o'clock I am singing the data, right? So whenever I'm singing at a 12 p.m., it sing only the data which got created or updated after 10. Okay, so it will not just from the beginning. Okay, it will just for example, after 10 I just created two records, then it will send only those two records only. Okay, so first we are fetching the last sync. Okay, so for that we are having sync properties entity. So in this entity we are saving when the record got last sync. We are just setting a record here. This is also local storage. Okay, so we got that one. For example, it is returning 10 a.m., right? And that 10 a.m. we will pass it to the server to filter out, right? To filter out the record which got created after that. So if I see the entity, clearly see that the filter will be applied like this. The modified or is greater than last sync time, right? So whatever company got modified after the 10 a.m. So we are fetching only those records. Okay. So then we are deleting. We are also checking what are the records got deleted after that last sync, right? And then, so always we should rely on the server time, right? So once it is synced, from here we'll pass the time. Okay. So now the time is 1:44 p.m. For example, I will just pass it. So then what I will do is I will update the local storage. Then I will go and save in this entity. Okay, sync entity. See, previously you are having 10 a.m. right, but now 1:44 p. He or she already sync the data again. So now the time is 1:44. So the next time whenever it trigger, okay, it will have 1:44 p.m. here. So I try to fetch created or updated record after that time. Okay, so this is the flow. So they may ask, like, for example, maybe they will show this client action and server action. Maybe the task sign will not be there. For example, this one. So we need to return the sync. After the sync, we should return the time from the server, right? So 1:44 p.m. we should return here from the server to local. If that is missing, or maybe the input will pass properly, something like that. So they will show this kind of pattern images and then tell you what is the problem in this pattern which is missing. Okay, like that also they may ask some questions. Now I am again going to the slide. Okay, and this is also from this, definitely some two questions will come. So when the user should install the new build, so out system will automatically update the build. Okay, if you are just publishing the app or doing some logic change, then automatically whenever the user opens the application, it will automatically update it. Okay, but for some scenario, we should install the application again. So what are those scenarios? From this, you may get some question. So whenever we change the app name, app icon, right, and primary color of the app, like a signature, right? So these are the signature of the application: name, icon, colors. And if you are adding some external resources, and if you are adding any configuration files for mobile app plugins, or you are adding some Cordova plugins, new plugins, or you done some modification in the Cordova plugins, right? And you have done some modification in the mobile platform configuration, right? So and you are changing the entry model. So all these scenarios, okay, the user has to download the new build and install it. Okay, manually they should do it. The out system can't update these changes automatically. Okay, so from this you may get some question, and from this also you may get some question. For example, you are using any mobile plugin. For example, here I am showing the mobile plugin, right? So you can see the if condition here. Why this if condition is important? Okay, so some cases, right, if the Android version is very old, then the plugin may not work, right? So that time, or sometime, you updated the code, but so I said before, right? So whenever you are adding any mobile plugin or using any code over, the user has to manually install it again. But imagine I have not manually installed, I'm using the old build, but the code is updated, right? So that time but the configuration files are not there because I have not manually installed it again. It is still, it's a old build, it's not having the configuration file for camera plugin, right? So that time the it will throw an error, right? To avoid that only we are having this if condition. From this also you may get uh, in any you may get some exam question. So whenever the plugin is not available, or whenever the if not ensure the compatibility with the previous version of the mobile app that have not yet been updated since the plugin was added. You have added the plugin, but the build is very old. So that time also the configuration file will not be there. So that time the user will get the error, right? So to avoid that, we will only show the message to the user. Okay, and to test the mobile app. So what are the steps are there to test the mobile app? So if it is a, actually we can test the mobile app in our mobile also. Okay, using the USB debugging on, we can debug the mobile app. So from this you may get some question. Maybe they will ask, is it possible to debug the mobile app? Or you should debug the mobile app by distributing as a PWA, and you have to check it in the browser. All are wrong, right? You can even debug the mobile app in your mobile application. So whenever you navigate the service studio, the debugging point will be break. We will get the break point, and you can debug it. Okay, so using this USB debugging on, or from for this is the step for iOS. If you follow this, whenever you use the application in iOS or Android, you can still debug the application. Okay, and security. Okay, using a JavaScript API, you can check the role even in offline. But if they specifically say, right, I want to call check role action, it's a server action. If it is a server action, if the user is in online, it will throw an error. So whenever the user is in offline, they can't call any server action, including the check role, right? But if they, it's possible to check the role using the JavaScript API. So the documentation is very well mentioned in the out system. You can just use that. So like this, if you put, for example, if I want to check my app manager role is there or not, this is the JavaScript to check that. Okay, and they may ask some question from maybe some scenario based question. For example, whenever I'm having an application. Okay, so whenever the network is changing, okay, maybe app to off to on or on to off, I want to show a message to the user. Okay, how I can do? So for that, you can use network status stream. You can just drag and drop this weblog. It is available in the OutSystem UI. Okay. So if you go to the dependency and under the OutSystem UI under the network, this weblog is there. You can just consume it, and you can just put it in the layout itself. So if you put it in the layout, so whatever page is using that layout, right? So that block is part of it, right? So it will be also render in the web page. So it is having an event. Whenever network changes occurred, that weblog will trigger an event. So in the event handler, you can do whatever you want. Like you can show the message to the user, or you can do some custom action, right? So that is what. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, yeah. No. So, Mary, I was saying if we can quickly wrap the important topics since the time is over and
Yeah,
we
yeah.
have
Okay,
yeah,
sure, sure, sure. Yeah,
yeah,
it's almost completed. Yeah,
yeah.
just 2 3 minutes. Okay, and also there is one more client action, get network status. So that one also you can use. And as I said before, if you are syncing or if you are calling the server action, you have to be online. So this is also one important point. And there are two system events, on application ready and on application resume. So this is the thing. For example, they will ask some scenario question. So whenever you are opening the app should sync. Then you can place your sync logic, right? You can call the offline data sync or trigger offline data sync in the on application ready. Or they may ask, even you can set it in the trigger offline data sync configuration. But this is also one of the way, right? On application resume. So in on application resume, also you can on application resume is like whenever the app coming from background to foreground, if you want to do some action, you can use this system event. So from this also you may get some questions. So yeah, that's it from my side. So over to you, Subham. You can, if you anybody have some question, you can ask that.
Yeah, yeah. I have made it all of those people presenters. So guys, you were raising hands. So if you have any questions, in the meantime, there is a question in chat. Can we write SQL to get local storage?
No, it is a local storage. Only for server related, you can use the SQL, right? So we can't write SQL to get the local storage. You can just use the aggregate. And also one more thing, you can't preview the data in the service studio because the data will be there purely in the client side. So you can't preview the data. Even if you apply the filter, it will not show some preview like a local, like a server storage, right? If we can't use SQL. Yeah. Any other question you can ask?
Yes. Guys, you can put your question in the Q&A section, or even now you can unmute and ask question. Okay, guys, any questions? Yeah, so if you guys want to go through all the topics which Mary has covered, right, you can definitely check out her series in general, right? Thank you so much, Mary. I think it would be hard to complete all the topics in one session, right? But you was able to cover most of the topics. Uh, and yeah, so guys, if you are interested in mobile series, go and check out the series that is there in the Chennai user group. Okay, I have shared the link of architecture bootcamp which is happening, so you can definitely apply for this if you don't have architecture certification. And if you have any doubts related to mobile, you can definitely reach out to Mary. Mary, if you can quickly share your LinkedIn URL here in the
Yeah,
chat.
yeah, sure, sure. Yeah. And thank you everyone for joining the session. And yes, as Subham said, it's very difficult to cover all the topics, but I hope I have covered important points. So please go through all these points. So after this one, I will share the PPT to Subham. So he will put it in the Pune user group event page. So you can, check the PPT as well. Yeah, I'm pasting in the chat, Subham. Yeah.
Okay, guys. So if you are not already connected with Hattie Mary in LinkedIn, you can definitely quickly request her. And yeah, any questions or doubt, you can definitely reach out to her or me as well. I have also pasted my LinkedIn. Thank you so much. It's always a stretch to join in weekends. So thank you so much for making that stretch. If you can quickly come on video as well. Again, I'm asking one more favor. So if you can come on video, I can take a quick screenshot. I'll upload it, post it in the LinkedIn. So that will be awesome if you can turn on your video. Thank you so much, Pavan. Others, if you can come on video. Thank you, Dinesh. Thank you so much. Yeah, it normally takes 1-2 minutes for people to turn on. Thank you, guys. Okay, I can see more people. Manthan, Satish, thank you. Okay, let me just take the screenshot now. Henderson, thank you so much. Yeah. Okay. Okay, and those who have joined for the first time Pune user group, guys, do watch out for our more session. We are planning now demo session on front end. We are planning a proper front end series where we're going to do demos related to front end, and we are also planning some exclusive session with different MVPs. With experts. So you can definitely check out the Pune user group. You can join this user group. Thank you so much, Hattie Mary, for accepting this to do and have for this lovely session, a detailed session. So thank you.
Thank you, Subham, for this opportunity. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Bye.
Thank you so
Have a
much.
happy weekend.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.